They always say recruiting is the lifeblood of any program. I believe now retention is the lifeblood. But then we'll say things like, well, they're going to portal to get more money. Most of the time, about 80% of the time, it's not more money. It's usually the athlete came in, they had no idea what was going to happen once they got past the door. So recruiting is great, but retention sucks. You know, I'm going to get you the most money, and then you go to a school where you don't fit. You go to a school where you don't like it. You go to a school where what they're calling, what they're running, doesn't even elevate or expose your skills to the market that you're trying to attract. This is the business of athletes. If you don't understand how the money moves, you don't understand the game. So everybody always blames the portal. They always say the portal has ruined college athletics, the portal is ruining teams, the portal is this, the portal that, right? I don't believe the portal is a problem at all. I do believe that a retention strategy is the issue. I do think that schools should have a process on when you bring an athlete in, right? Because if you think about it, anybody who is working at a current job, right? If 30% of the staff leaves every year, I don't think you're gonna blame LinkedIn. I don't think you're gonna blame Indeed, right? You're gonna look at it and say, okay, what are we not doing to retain the people who we label as high producers? And when we think about it from the college side, the portal is just an opportunity for an athlete to go and shop themselves or increase their notoriety. But then we'll say things like, well, they're going to portal to get more money. Most of the time, about 80% of the time, it's not more money. It's usually the athlete came in, they had no idea what was going to happen once they got past the door. So recruiting is great, but retention sucks. So today's topic, man, we're literally highlighting that the portal isn't the issue. It's literally the retention process, which ties into the business of an athlete. So schools, right? So schools have this process where they just blast recruiting information out there. They host these visits. They bring athletes in. They bring their families in. They wine and dine them. They do the photo shoots. All those things are what we consider in the business world the top of the funnel, meaning you're getting them in. You do a really good job of getting people in. You do a really good job of bringing them into the system, into the ecosystem, into your area, right? All that's been well. For the last 50 years, that's been great. The photo shoots, the dinners, the flights, the weekends, the host, all those things have been great. Now we have a different avenue where it's talking about NIL and revenue share and money and, playing time. So once they get in, they're no longer locked in. So what do you have in place to keep them engaged? What do you have in place to move them through phases? What do you have in place for them to see themselves in your program long term? And I do believe that some schools will continue to just recruit, right? Because anybody can recruit. We've seen this a bunch of times. Anybody can recruit. Most people can't retain. And in this day and age, in this era of sports, retention is king. Recruiting used to be the lifeblood of a school, right? They always say recruiting is the lifeblood of any program. I believe now retention is the lifeblood. Because without players, you don't have a team. Without a team, you can't attract more donors and more sponsorships and more money. So if we're looking at it from a business lens, not from a traditional college sports, not a traditional viewpoint from recruiting, it's when the athlete comes in, your top of your funnel, when they're coming in, this is like all of your lead gen, all of the guys and girls who are interested in your program. What are the steps for them to go from interested to engaged to locked in, signed and committed, retained, right? All those things are part of the process now for a true business to operate. And like I spoke about in a few of my other videos, this college system is literally a business, right? Everything that is done from an operational side feeds the business. Are you feeding the business, or are you filling busy work, or are you filling a funnel that doesn't convert? And I would always challenge a recruiter, a coach, a scout, an agent. Yeah, you can get a lot of things done from the recruiting side, but how do you keep your athlete happy? How do you keep your athlete how do you keep your athlete involved into the system, right? So one thing that I noticed in this recruiting space in the portal seasons is athletes schedule so many visits, right? They're going from school to school to school, school to school to school, and they're having a hard time making a decision because on the front end, top of the funnel, every school is showing the same things, right? This is our locker room, this is our weight room, this is how our stadium looks, this is the offense we run, the defense we run, the drills we run, the schedule we play, the uniform we wear. I mean, all that's fine. But when we're talking business and we're sitting down and we're looking at not just the numbers, but the structure, what's going to keep me involved in your program long term if all you're showing me are the things that I can see online? I can Google your uniform. I can Google your stadium. I can Google your arena. I can Google coaches and what they've run. I can go watch some plays and see what y'all ran and see if I can see myself in there. But what are you showcasing for an athlete to see themselves as a business in your system, and you're providing a business level system to them? Now, athletes, I get it, right? So I do go a little hard on the schools and the operations, but you play a part in this too, because as you're visiting the schools, as you're looking at yourself from a monetary standpoint, or you're looking at yourself from a business aspect, and you're desiring certain outcomes, I would challenge to even ask you, what are you looking for? When you go to these schools and you take all these visits and you go sit down with all these coaches who are saying the same things, what are you looking for to actually help you make a decision? Because it can't be the money. And when I mean it can't be the money is because no dollar amount will equate to what you're actually trying to accomplish, right? You hear often that, I'm going to get you the most money, and then you go to a school where you don't fit. You go to a school where you don't like it. You go to a school where what they're calling, what they're running doesn't even elevate or expose your skills to the market that you're trying to attract. So as you're traveling, on your travels, on your journeys, so what are you actually wanting to accomplish in these meetings? Because these meetings are not what you did in high school. Let's get that clear. These meetings are not the fun and the I'm just excited because I was once in high school and I can't wait to go put on the jerseys. These are business meetings. So we're sitting down, we should be acting like the questions that make sense. Not how are you going to use me in your offense? More so, how do I thrive in your offense? How do I remain in your offense? What are some ways you're going to grade players, and how are you grading them? Are you a technical grader? Are you a superficial grader? Are you a highlight guy? Coach, I want to know personally, how are you going to grade me from my position? Because that will lead to your next question of, if I do those things well, how do you value people who stay? How do you value loyalty? I do believe that if you choose your next school from the portal, or you go to a school and you leave and you go to another school, you should be going with the thought of, my next school is going to be my best school, because I'm now making a decision based on the information that I now have from my current school, and I need a fresh start. Not more money, not more clout, right? Because clout always doesn't equate to dollars. So on your visits, on your journey, you should be asking, how does the program value loyalty? How does the program value somebody who wants to grow with them? What are the opportunities here to grow financially? We're going to get down to the numbers and the dollars and cents. But on the front end, we should be asking, from a personal standpoint, from a business lens, how do I fit into your system? Not just athletically, but as a person, as a business, as an operator, as a brand, as a name, because I'm coming here to increase all aspects of what I'm trying to get accomplished, right? So if I can tell you guys anything from a recruiting and transfer portal component, you should be asking the questions that lead to you growing, you building your name, you establishing yourself, and you attaching yourself to a program and to a system that benefits you, and not just a, well, y'all were conference champions last year, so I'm gonna come join your team. Because in business, we say these things: past performances don't dictate the future, but they give an idea. But things change. That team won't be the team you come into. All right, so here we go. Here's the most important part of this video, of this conversation that we're having: money. Everybody want to talk dollars and cents, right? So what are the money implications within the portal, right? So of course, everybody talks about how many deals are being signed, how many guys are getting new contracts, how many guys are getting more money. But with more money usually equates to more cost. From the school side, you're losing money to spend money. What do I mean by that? Every athlete you don't retain, every athlete you lose, you have to not only replace them, but you will spend more money to replace them. For instance, you have a guy on your roster who cost you $250,000. $250,000 is what this athlete cost you. They are getting ready to explore the portal. You have no system in place to renegotiate, on retention, operationalize the retention of this athlete. So this athlete leaves, saves you $250,000 on the books, minus whatever you've paid them over the year, right? So let's say you have $100,000 left. So $100,000 left that you were gonna pay this athlete. Great, you just saved yourself $100,000 for 1 week. So 1 week, you saved $100,000. And why I say 1 week? Because once that athlete leaves, you gotta bring in a new one. So here comes your new athlete. You know, you gotta wine and dine them, so that's gonna cost you. So you're gonna wine and dine the athlete. That's gonna cost you roughly about $5,000. So now we have $5,000 just to get the kid or the athlete to come and see your program. Just to get the athlete to understand you guys, right? So they came out, you spent $5,000 to wine them. So now we're at $95,000. You tracking? Now, we got to sign this kid. Now we got to talk about what it costs to actually sign this kid. So this athlete wants $500,000. So now this kid is requesting $500,000. So if we're doing a simple math, we'll say you got rid of $250 and paid $500. To you, you're like, well, we only paid an extra $250. Calculations, 1 plus 1 is 2. So $250 plus $500 is $750. So for that athlete to leave your program, over a year, you've paid $750,000. Well, you have committed $750,000 for this position. Not the player, to this position. So this one position is now valued at $750,000. Now, it also cost you $5,000 to bring them in. So we're looking at $755,000 that it cost you to bring in this one athlete. Here's where retention could have saved you $755,000. This $250K athlete, you really like them. You have to go replace them with somebody better. So obviously they were productive. So this $250K athlete, you offer this athlete an increase, a retention, loyalty. I believe in you. You offer this athlete another $250K. Now, this athlete just got increased by $250K. Guess what? It cost you less to keep them, because Although total, you've paid this kid $500,000, you saved $255,000, right? But you also got an athlete who sees that you value them. You have an athlete who sees that you have invested in them. Yes, they can go elsewhere and get more money than the additional $250 that you gave them. But through the system, through your process, through your operations, you're able to sit down with your current athlete, renegotiate with that athlete, provide them a 100x, right? Like you've increased them by 100%, right? So now they have made $500K with you. They're on the same team, same system. You know what you're getting. You know what you have. They're part of your culture. There's no confusion of who this athlete is. He doesn't have to get acclimated into your system. He doesn't have to adjust to how you guys coach. He doesn't have to butt heads with his teammates and with his coaching staff because he's already there, and it only costs you an extra $250 versus an extra $755,000. So when retention is mentioned, it's not just a buzzword. It's not just something that we're going to say, we got to have retention. We got to have retention. We got to look at it in dollars and cents, because it's going to cost you more to lose an athlete and replace that athlete and to get them into your system and acclimated. And if you get them too late into the year, too late into the season, it'd probably be 8, 9, 10 months before they're acclimated in the proper way that you want them to be. It costs more to leave them, and I make jokes all the time about it's cheaper to keep them. It is. Although it may cost you an extra $250 on the budget, it's going to cost you more to bring an athlete in. Pick your poison, right? Now, from our athletes, we all want what's best, right? We want more playing time. We want more notoriety. We want our New Jersey number, right? Because we didn't get our jersey number. We want that jersey number. This school's offering that number. We want more money. Our agent or our manager or our runner, whatever it is saying, hey, I can get you more money over here. Let me tell you why chasing the dollar will cost you more and you'll lose out on more and actually won't get that increase. Here's some simple math, right? Let's go from you're making currently I'm gonna use the same example as earlier. You're making $250K. You believe you can go and get $500K at a different school. So someone says, hey, I can go and get you $500K. This is where you gotta start looking at numbers, start doing your due diligence. You have an agent. They're gonna charge you roughly, I'm gonna be nice to the agents today, all right? Let's say they're gonna charge you 5%. So they're gonna charge you 5%. You're gonna go and get $500K. They're gonna charge you 5%. Let's do some math. I'm not gonna insult you guys or play myself on the math. So 500K times 0.5%. So $25,000 is going to your agent, to your manager, to your handler, to your fee, whatever it is, right? So $25,000 has gone away. So count that gone. So $500,000 minus $25,000 is $475,000. So now you have $475, just off the rip, because your agent charged you 5%. And we know that there's probably more charges on that, right? Then you go from one state, let's say you're in Florida, right? Then you go to California. All right. Yes, we know Florida don't have state taxes. Everybody gonna sell you on that. Everybody gonna sell you on the taxes in California. That is true though. So California taxes, I believe the last time I checked, the state tax in California, 2025. So state tax in California, if you make over $400,000 is 11.3%. And I want to make sure that you guys know that this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. I am not giving money advice. This is not what I'm doing. This is education only. This is just giving hypothetical numbers, right? So you're at 11.3%. So now you're at 11.3%. So you would probably say, well, Reggie, I'm getting taxed on 11.3% at 475. No, you're getting taxed on 11.3% at 500,000, right? So now so everybody gets to eat off of your 500,000 before you get to eat off your 500,000, right? And I'm giving you guys like simple math because there's some strategies, of course, that some strategy people can put in place, allow you to make more money, save money, but we're not talking about that right now. So we're gonna say 500,000 times 11%, that is $56,000. Actually, $56,500. So now we have $56,500 plus 25. So plus $25,000. So $81,500 is what has already come out of your increase because you chose to go to a different school because somebody said that they can get you more money, right? Then the federal tax for an individual and a business is different. So let's just assume that you guys are pretty savvy and y'all have people who are around you who put you in a position to have an LLC. So that means you have a business, right? So you're gonna file your taxes as a business. So as a business, anyone who's making over $500,000, so that's another 21%. Okay, so 21% of 500,000. We're not 21% of 475. We're 21% of 500,000. And like I said, I am not a financial advisor, so guess what? This is not financial advice. So 21% of 500,000 is $105,000. All right. For everybody who's business savvy and tax savvy, we know that you won't pay the full taxes. There's strategy to mitigate that, protect that. But we're talking if you are just looking at dollars and cents. I'm going from Florida to California because I want to give me a better shot. So someone offered you $500,000. You were making $250. You felt like you should have gotten more. So now we at 105 plus $81,500. So now we're at 105 plus 81.5. So now we have 186. $186,500. So $186,000. $186,500. Jesus Christ. All right. So $186,000. And you're gonna be 186. So 500,000 minus 186,500. 313. 313. So you had $313,000 after your agent fees, federal, state taxes. This is not financial advice. This is common sense. $313,000 off of getting more money. An agent said, I can get you more money to go across the US. I can get you more money. Guess who got more money? It ain't you. It's the agent. You didn't get more money. The agent made more money. And there's nothing wrong with commerce. There's nothing wrong with transactional business being done. But if we're looking at the whole landscape of things, why does retention staying at a school matter to you more? Because you're not getting more money by moving. Because then you had $313,000, right? So $313K. You have to move from Florida to California. Depends on what part of the year you're in. You're either at the beginning of your apartment lease, so if you're leaving in December, you're at the beginning of your apartment lease, or you're at the end of your apartment lease in April, right? So most apartments say you have to pay the remainder of your lease. So a lot of you guys are getting these apartments that are really expensive. So you're looking at about $2,000 to $3,000 per month in apartment fees. So $3,000 a month for a year lease, which most of you guys sign, that's $36,000, right? You're gonna leave at month 6 because you sign in July, you're ready to bounce in December. So you have 6 months remaining on your lease. You have to break this lease. So now that's 6 months times 3,000, that's $18,000. So now $313,000 will cost you. So you gotta pay 18 grand minus 18,000 to break your lease in December. You had $295,000. All right, guys, the number's starting to get a little close to where you just left. Numbers starting to get a little close, all right? And I'm gonna give one more math problem because it's not a math show. This is just telling you guys why jumping schools in the portal isn't the answer. Having a business mind, having common sense, having savviness about yourself will take you further, right? So if you're 295, now you gotta move. How much is it gonna cost you to move? Because y'all probably got these nice cars, you got a dog, you have all these things, and you gotta get a new apartment, right? So your new apartment, we in California now. We in Cali. So you're looking at 2 times the rents, first and last month. Let's just be nice and say these apartments are $5,000. So now you're saying first and last, that's 10,000. So now we at 10,000. Now you're at 285. $285,000 is where you are now. You gotta ship your cars, ship your clothes, all these things. So that's another like 5 to 7 grand. Say 5. So you're at 285. You spend an extra 5. Now you're at 280. You were getting $250,000 at your current school. You left for $500,000, but at the end of the day, you're clearing $280,000. So you left, hypothetically, and we ain't talking strategies and all those things, we're talking just numbers. You left your current school to go across the states for $30K. I think if you had a retention plan, you literally could have sat in front of your GM, your coach, whoever handles your revenue share in NIL at your school, and renegotiated an extra $80,000. I mean, but somebody blinded you by the number. Somebody told you that they can get you more. Someone said, I can increase your revenue. When in all reality, all they did was give you an extra $30K. So in retention, in staying at your school and transferring all those things, although it sounds nice, if you do the numbers, are you really getting what you're trying to get by leaving? The math is the math. So, I mean, I don't believe so. So to sum all this up, it cost the school more, it cost you more to lose a player in the portal, and the athlete, it costs you more to go in. But if you have a real plan, a real retention plan, a vision, an idea of how to grow, and you're handling things like a business and operating from a business lens and not from a traditional athletics, the sports, the recruiting, the hype, you can literally get more out of the current players you have. And as an athlete, you can get more out of the current school you have, because to go from 250 to go all the way across the United States for an extra 30,000, it would have cost you less to probably go upstairs, sit down, and have a real legit talk about where you feel you should be financially based on your value to the team. This has been One of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to this portal deal and all this new money and all those things is that the money isn't that much different. It sounds good on paper, but it'll cost you more to not have a structured strategy for retention or staying. Like, comment, and subscribe. This is the business of athletes. If you don't understand how the money moves, you don't understand the game.